the aerodynamics of a brick, the engine of a Porsche sports car, the off-road capability of a military rover. Sounds like a random set of words, right? But put them all in one body, and you get the third-generation Volkswagen Transporter. Meet the legendary T3, a vehicle that started as a boring delivery van and evolved into a cult classic, chased by wealthy collectors today. Let's go. Development of the new Transporter kicked off in the mid-1970s. By the end of the decade, it went into production almost unchanged. The main thing you need to know here is, this wasn't just a facelifted T2. It was a fundamentally new machine. Engineers completely redesigned the chassis. The engine and rear axle were dropped as low as possible, achieving an almost perfect 50-50 weight distribution. When you look at a T3, it seems like in a crash, the driver's knees act as the front bumper. There's literally no hood. But that's a myth. VW engineers developed a clever underbody deformation system that absorbed impacts, while the steering column featured collapsible joints. For the 1980s, it was a surprisingly safe capsule. However, to get that incredibly spacious cabin, they had to get creative with the layout. Take the battery, for example. They stuffed it right under the passenger seat. Imagine the feeling of a literal chemical reaction boiling right under you on a long road trip. And the spare tire, hidden up front under the radiator. You could only get it out from under the front bumper. Imagine the joy of digging that out in the pouring rain and mud. Despite these quirks, the body options were mind-blowing. Volkswagen offered everything from standard panel vans for small businesses to rugged single-cab flatbeds for farmers. But the real workhorse of Europe was the Dakar. That's short for Doppelkabine, a legendary six-seater double-cab pickup that could carry both the construction crew and the cement. At launch, the T3 offered basic air-cooled engines with a pathetic 50 and 70 horsepower. With the aerodynamics of a cinder block, keeping up with traffic was a struggle. But it did introduce luxury options early van owners only dreamed of, like power steering, air conditioning, and power mirrors. The real evolution hit in 1981. First came a liquid-cooled diesel from the VW Golf, followed by the notorious Wasserboxer engines. These engines brought real pain to mechanics. They had a fatal flaw. The rubber seals between the cylinders and the block regularly leaked, turning coolant and oil into a disgusting jelly. By 1985, a major facelift brought turbo diesels, a punchy 95 horsepower fuel-injected engine, new transmissions, and those iconic square headlights that made the T3's face a classic. But the T3 didn't live in a vacuum. The commercial market was a battlefield. The Ford Transit, with its front-engine layout and flat cargo floor, was the logical choice. The French pushed the front-wheel drive Renault Trafic, and cheap, reliable Japanese vans like the Toyota Hiace were invading the market. Compared to them, the rear-engine T3 seemed archaic. The engine bay completely compromised the cargo space. But this weird Porsche-like layout gave the Transporter fantastic maneuverability, car-like handling, and a unique character that its boring, boxy competitors severely lacked. Riding the wave of the van life movement before it even had a hashtag, the tuning house Westphalia stepped in. Their Joker version became an absolute smash hit, featuring a pop-top roof, a kitchenette, and comfortable beds. If you didn't need a full motorhome, VW offered the multivan, a perfect daily driver with a rear seat that folded into a bed for long weekend getaways. But what if the road ends? In 1985, VW had the answer. The Synchro. Developed over 10 years with the Austrian off-road experts at Steyr Daimler Puch, the Synchro was an absolute beast. Thanks to a viscous coupling, fully independent suspension, and locking diffs, this box could climb 70-degree inclines. And it wasn't just marketing hype. That same year, Austrian driver Gerhard Plattner took a T3 Synchro around the world, crossing 5 continents in just 51 days. In Australia, they hit a kangaroo and rolled the van. They just flipped it back onto its wheels, kept driving, and successfully drove straight into the Guinness World Records. Now for the best part, the monsters. Third-party companies turned the T3 into absolute rockets. In 1985, Porsche entered their futuristic 959 supercar into the brutal Paris-Dakar Rally. They needed a support vehicle fast enough to chase a race car through the desert. A standard Jeep wouldn't cut it. So Porsche took a T3 and shoved a 3.2-liter flat six from a 911 Carrera into the back. 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds. Top speed? Over 130 miles per hour. They called it the Porsche B32. Only about a dozen were ever made. Meanwhile, the tuning company Oettinger built the WBX6, cramming a custom 6-cylinder engine with up to 180 horsepower into the back, requiring beefed-up suspension and an automatic transmission because the manual simply couldn't handle the torque. While production in Europe stopped in 1991, the T3 had a wild afterlife. When the Iron Curtain fell in the early 90s, thousands of used European T3s flooded into Eastern Europe. They became the unsung heroes of the post-Soviet era, reliable pack mules that helped local entrepreneurs haul goods across borders and survive the chaotic transition to capitalism. But the craziest chapter belongs to South Africa. They kept building the T3 locally until 2002. Because the old engines were too weak, they started fitting them with massive, powerful 5-cylinder inline engines from Audi. Today, the T3 isn't just an old van. If you want to buy a rust-free Syncro Westphalia today, be prepared to pay the price of a brand new luxury SUV. And those Dakar Porsche B32s, collectors are dropping over $500,000 for them at auctions. Which version of the T3 would you take? The cozy Westphalia, the record-breaking Synchro, or the insane Dakar Porsche? Let me know in the comments. Drop a like if you learned something new, and I'll see you in the next one.